Different. I don't care about being different. I just want to make stuff that I think is cool.
Yo, today we chopped it up with Ethan Tran, Gen Z, storyteller, art curator.
How big was your account?
Early March, I was at like 3K on Instagram. And then within like the next month and a half, I went to like 170K.
Wow.
And it was kind of crazy, like one video.
His rise might seem like it happened overnight, but after chopping it up with him, we realized it was a long, dedicated effort.
What made you go full time?
It was gonna be more than I was making at my job.
We spoke about his original aspirations in advertising and how his young career already took a turn.
Artists were a commercial content creator.
It's not like only an art piece, it's like also promoting a product.
Can you give an example of a brand that didn't pay that much, but you were like, I want to go above and beyond?
My Adobe partnership, I wanted to make it less focused on AI and more focused on like how it can like help you solve a problem rather than like add to something that is already done.
How did that deal come to you?
On this episode, we dive into Ethan's creative process, concerns about the change in media landscape, and his ultimate goal to make a feature film.
How did you get into advertising?
I got into advertising because I was in business school and I was also interning / working at a coffee company because I wanted to like utilize my business degree in some way. I felt like it made more sense to like come in strategically to advertising. So I talked to the CMO of the company and she introduced me to advertising because she had a background in it.
What made you want to make that transition?
I was like not a good test taker in college. I don't think I made good enough grades for me to get a super great job. I just wanted to do something creative. And I think advertising was a great medium because it was more about like ideas but you obviously needed some knowledge about business.
So did you have to like put together a book before you got a job as an art director?
Yeah. I like spent a lot, like most of my time was spent on my book, like making spec ads.
This is when you were still in school?
Yeah, when I was in school. It was a bit easier because it was COVID, so school was easier back then.
How old are you, Ethan?
I'm 23.
So you just got out of school?
Yeah, like a year ago.
Were you able to like land a job right away?
After I graduated, I think the way advertising works is kind of weird. I don't know if this was your experience, but it was like I had to intern after college for,
of course, yeah,
3 months.
A lot of people do that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because in business, like
you usually have the job lined up before you know get out of school, right?
Yeah. I think that part was kind of weird because I would tell all my business friends that I was like interning, and they were like kind of confused because I think most people just get full-time offers, whether it's like tech, business, whatever.
Yep.
Advertising is like a tough field to like break into. It's like, or at least in my experience, like I interned after college for 3 months and I didn't get a return offer just because the market was weird, I think. And also like, I think also the trajectory of intern to full-time, especially is what I've seen in advertising, is not always like linear like it is with consulting banking where they hire most people. Advertising is more based on like what they need and what they're budgeted with.
Yeah, and also like if you lose a client, I don't know, like let's say Coca-Cola is like, all right, cool, we don't want to work with this agency anymore. Like your entire floor is gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like you lose an arm.
Yeah. That was the good part and the bad part though.
What's the good part about
the good part? The good part was I feel like the people I feel like I was like more satisfied with my job compared to my friends that were telling me about their like consulting and banking jobs. It just felt like they were going for, you know, the monetary value, which is also like a good thing to do, especially out of college. But I felt like I was in like a right mix of the two. At the time, it felt like that.
So you landed the job at Ogilvy?
I interned at Ogilvy, and then, like I said, I didn't get a return offer, and then I went to Gray, which is also the same. Yeah, I know
Gray. Yeah.
They were in like the same building
on 23rd Street.
Yeah, but now they're at the 3 World Trade.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone from WPP moved there.
Oh, word. What were some of the accounts that you were on? I
was only on like Las Vegas tourism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was actually not an art director. I was like my title was like junior content creator.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's a relatively new role.
No, yeah, they never had anyone in that role. And at the company, I only like saw one other person that was a content creator. But I think they were also like kind of a in-between role as well. It was because that client was specifically only social and they needed someone to like chop up footage. But it was a fun account. It was interesting to see how agencies dealt with like content.
Like what? Yeah. Like, tell me a little bit about it because it's so new. First of all, like creator economy as a whole is such a new industry. Like the fact that, you know, advertising agencies compared to a lot of other industries is still relatively at the forefront because they have to be, right? So that's why they even have a role like a content creator in the office.
Yeah.
Like if you're talking about like an archaic pharmaceutical company, like in their marketing department, they're probably not gonna have like a content creator position open. What were you tasked to do?
I think the role was so new that they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do with like my role. And the main reason they got me was as an editor. So like I wasn't technically a content creator at first. I was mainly just an editor for an ad agency. And I think it was interesting because usually when you're doing like traditional ads and you do like in the I guess still even now you do like spot ads, TVC, you usually go to like a production company for that, right?
But you were just doing it.
But I was doing it. So like I think the structure was a little bit like weird because they didn't necessarily know like what I needed to do because they didn't have experience with that in the past. Like my managers, they kind of like didn't know what to do. Also, our team was pretty small.
What were some of your deliverables?
I had like, I think 2 or 3 big projects in my eyes that were like, it was interesting because they were like horizontally shot videos but they were for the client. Like it was only for internal. So they had me like make 1 to 2 minute internal videos so that way the client could be happy with like what the work we were doing.
Yeah.
So like we did like a Super Bowl campaign and I just had to make a video for that. And then there was like a Pride Month thing that was before I came in.
Right.
I had to like edit that video for the client.
So you just had like very like menial deliverables that you just had to like provide.
And then there was other times where I'd like ideate for social, like month to month or week to week, depending on what we needed to do. And I would just like find TikTok trends and like make it in an Excel format.
And then when did you make that transition from Gray to like Ogilvy?
So like I said, I interned at Ogilvy and then I did full-time at Gray for a bit. And then they had an opening at Ogilvy. And it was on Samsung. And I was like, oh, this is like, I wanted to do like a TVC in advertising because I feel like that's the...
Break down what a TVC is for people that don't know.
TVC stands for, I don't know what it stands for, TV commercial, right?
That's literally what it is.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Television commercial, yeah.
I never like actually learned what I meant, but I was assuming that I meant that.
Yeah.
I mean, in advertising, people all obviously strive for that because it's the biggest budget. It's like the sexiest thing that you could put in your book. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like really cool. Like that was honestly the main reason I got into advertising because I would see people's books and it'd just be like so cool. You just see like basically little short films that have like some business intent and like cool product.
So what was your role when you got that gig?
I was junior art director.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's when we first met, right?
Yeah.
Right when you started full-time at Ogilvy.
This is only like what? 7 months ago?
No, that's not that long.
Yeah,
3 months ago.
I was only full-time for like maybe like 11 months. then I left.
So you finally got to Ogilvy. You stayed on the Samsung account.
Yeah.
And was it a fun experience? Where like what did you learn from it?
Yeah, I actually really liked it. I feel like I learned like so much in those like short 5 months I was on there. Just in terms of like clients, relationships, and like I didn't do any pitching to the client. It was mostly to my managers.
Were you in the room?
Was I in the room? Yeah.
When they pitched?
Yeah, for the beginning or for most of them, I was trying to just go on every single one.
Yeah.
But eventually I was just going on less because there was a lot of stuff going on.
What's interesting is when we first met, you had just started that job and you were thinking about how to become a full-time content creator. Now that you are a full-time content creator, what's the biggest lesson that you took away from that experience?
From that experience, I think it was mainly like when I'm like doing partnerships with brands, I need to be intentional with what I'm making for them and make sure that it's not like only an art piece. It's like also promoting a product for them. And I think marrying the two is something that I think has really been helpful for me, because working in advertising, you're always trying to do two, because you're pitching to the client. Whereas I think when you're a content creator and you've only come from the creative side and you do it full time, you're just focusing on like your art mostly. From what I've seen from other creators that are just only artists and they do brand work in the beginning, at least for them, it's like hard because they don't know they don't realize that when they're pitching an idea to the agency, they're also pitching the agency also has to pitch it to the brand. And I think that's like something that gets lost in translation, because you have like talent managers, you have, you know, a lot of people in the room that you don't realize. I think that's another thing. When I was like on Samsung, there's so many people on the account. I'm sure you guys know that like there's so many levels that you don't really know what's going on and why they don't like a certain thing or why they do like a certain thing. You kind of just have to like
or why they're in the room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're just there, like sitting there.
Some people are there literally just because they've been in that industry for so long and that they have such a robust Rolodex. Their job, they get paid like $250,000 a year just in case shit. Like literally there's a guy in those rooms that's just an in case shit guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in case something happens, this guy picks up the phone and that's it. That's the only thing that this guy does for once every quarter. You know what I mean? And then he gets paid $250,000, you know, just to be in that room. You know what I mean?
And then there's also people in that room that are only there to make sure that they say something so that they understand that they're in the room. So when you talk about like different objectives, right? The brand has an objective, the agency has an objective, and then the creator has an objective, right? So some people are literally in that room just to say, actually, can we do this? And it's not material to the actual campaign and to the objectives of those three people. Mm-hmm. It's really just an objective to say, this is why I'm in the room and why I'm justified to get paid whatever I'm getting paid.
Yeah, that coordinator, essentially, that coordinator needs to say that, because otherwise that person's entire livelihood is gone. Because, you know, if the brand figures out, it's like, oh, wait, I could just talk directly to the creator. Like, why does that coordinator need to exist? You know, and too often times they make the process unnecessarily complicated in order for their existence to be justified.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For their annually reviews, quarterly reviews.
For sure. You got to say, I worked on that project and I helped work on the creative. Or,
here are my email receipts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, or coming in full time to Gray as a creator, I felt like I valued like when we would get like a video in and we would need to edit something, I would just make it really simple, because I feel like the creator has already put so much work into it. Whereas like other like people that I was working with wanted to fix so many things. I was just like, I feel like it was pretty good and it was good enough. And I didn't want to do anything, not because I was like lazy. I was just because I feel like there was nothing that needed to be done.
No, totally. And I think that's the case. That should be the case with most of these things. If you're working with the creator, there's a certain aesthetic, there's a certain creative direction, there's a certain sensibility that you're already coming into, right? But rather than just leave it alone, some people just have to touch it to make sure that everybody understands that they had some sort of input on it. But, you know, to circle back, I think that that's a huge advantage for you. The fact that you got to sit on that side of the table. You essentially got an experience now that you're a full-time creator who's essentially servicing these clients directly. It was probably a really cool experience to be on the other side to say, oh, I see all the different people and all the different interests that might be aligning or that might be competing, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think it's also made me more receptive to feedback from clients when I'm doing like content creation promotions. Because it's like, I understand that they need to have some changes because they get 3 rounds. So they're gonna need some. and I just understand like if I give them a video and then they're asking for specific changes, but then the next time they want more. Obviously, you don't want to. They didn't tell you the first time, but it's like, you know, maybe they showed it to someone new or like.
Yeah, I mean, there's like so many layers, like you said. So many eyeballs have to be attached to this one 60-second short video.
So what made you go full time?
I think monetarily, it just made the most sense. Like the other thing was my time at my job was just taking up too much time because, like I was saying, I was on Samsung, so the hours were based on Korean time.
Yeah.
So I'd be there until like 8 or 9, or just be like basically on call. So then I wouldn't have as much time, especially when I was in person working, to like do content. And at that time, it was a very good time for me as a creator to just like focus on myself, because it was at a time, so I blew up, and then, or I like gained a following on Instagram, and then there was like a couple months in between where brands were starting to understand who I was, and like I was probably getting put on certain decks, and then when I was close to quitting, like I was getting partnerships. When was it? I think it was like end of September. So like 2 months now.
2 months.
Yeah.
And then when you say, I mean, just being super candid, so was it literally like a dollar amount that you're like, look, I'm literally making more money now doing brand deals?
At the time, from like my perspective, partnerships, it was gonna be more than I was making at my job.
Cool.
So it was like a really, I think the main part was I didn't want to make my parents feel like I was making the wrong decision, because I really like trust my parents. I wanted to make sure that they were okay with and comfortable with it, and not me just making a rash decision after getting this job. I think the main thing as well, or another thing, was I only had the job for like 4 or 5 months, and that's like not a lot of time, you know. Most people, and I already had like 3 jobs out of college basically, and it was like, it wasn't by choice, it was just by what happened, but it just didn't. For me, it didn't make sense for me to stay, because there was just so much opportunity within being a creator. And I think also there was a lot of like things I wanted to do outside of work. Like I think another thing was when I was working, I didn't want to travel at all. Like my girlfriend would ask me about like traveling, and I was like, I don't really care. I just want to stay here. But now that I have more time, I'm like, it's opened my mind up to want to travel more, to like experience new things, and because I think it's very helpful for creatives to travel. But at the time I was trying to do so many things that I just didn't have time. There's like a lot of different types of creators. For me, I was a creator that I like put all my energy into my videos, and I couldn't really focus on business side because I wanted to make the creative the best it was.
So what was like the catalyst? Was there like a specific moment that you was like, yo, I feel like I could quit my full-time job?
What made me make the jump was just like a combination of like certain partnerships I was doing.
Can you share?
Yeah, what was the partnership?
My main partnership that really made me make the leap was Lenovo, just because of like the monetary value. Like I think I was talking to you about this earlier. Like you have partnerships that are mainly for monetary, and then you have partnerships that are like super high, like brands that you really love.
Brand, really audience, love. Revenue.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. I think that was one of the main things I like. Oh, this is like this piece, and I'm also gonna get these other pieces.
How would you describe your audience?
I think I'm still trying to figure that out right now, even though I have those backgrounds.
Why don't we play a game?
Why play a game? Okay.
So what would you think his psychographic is?
Yeah.
I would say, let's start with the age range. 13, I would say like 14. No, 14 to like 25, 26. Maybe like 52% female, 48% male, you know what I mean? I would say concentration is in New York and coastal. They definitely have Solomon shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They definitely wear baggy pants. They thrift. They go to certain areas in Bushwick.
I would guess that your audience is actually a little older. I would say that the majority of your audience is probably 18 to 24. Like, so 50% 18 to 24. And then I would say that if you like, that would be the biggest surprise and the biggest opportunity, I think. If you're getting that 13 to 18 crowd, that's awesome, because that's where everyone wants to be. And then I think that, so there, let's say 12 to 18% there, and then you're probably getting the 24 to 30, 32 or whatever. I don't know what the gap is, but that would be like another 25%. And
Yeah.
male, female, yeah, 50-50, I think. And then I would say coastal, your content resonates with me as a very much like super authentic, sort of like pondering. It's almost like that. It's like the newer Wes Anderson kind of crowd to me. That's what I see, right? So like what Bottle Rocket was for my generation, right? Like I think you're tapping into that. I don't know. Is that right?
Yeah, I think you're closer. I think the age range you're like pretty. Actually, no, the age range is actually really weird. When I look at it, it's like 18 to 24 is like, at the beginning it was 43% or something like that, and then it was like the 25 to 30 whatever range was like also 40%.
Wow.
But I was like, this is kind of crazy.
You know what it is? You're also super active on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And your audience, majority of it is in Instagram, right?
Yeah.
How big is? Okay, that makes sense.
I don't even look at my audience on TikTok, because I feel like,
how big are your numbers on TikTok? Do we know?
Yeah, I know it's like I have like 86K on TikTok and 260 on Instagram.
How's your YouTube? I know we were talking about that. And
Yeah.
you're like, I remember texting you about long form content, and you're like, honestly, it's not a real priority for me right now.
Yeah, it's still not a priority, but I have these friends that are like called the YouTube New Wave, and
What's that?
What is that?
Is that the long form essay stuff?
Yeah,
Dude, I think you would crush that.
yeah. It's like essays, but it's also it's like coming of age stories. It's like little. I would classify them as little short films. Some of them are even longer. It's like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And they just talk about their life, and they do it in a way where it's just like they're telling a story, but it's also really, the music is really great, the storytelling is really great, but then they also have like a brand integration somehow. It's like, it's kind of crazy. I think you guys would be interested in it. They're all like people in their 20s that are young and figuring out their life.
Yeah, I think it's representative of just sort of like how sporadic things can be, but then it all comes together in a cohesive sort of like art, like cool way. And yeah.
It's like,
Is that something you're gonna work on?
No, I think that's like, I've watched the same video of my friends like 4 times, because I like showing my friends it, because it's something that is like really, it was like so cool to watch, and it's like very emotional, because it was about how he broke up with his ex, and then you guys can watch. He broke up, or they broke up. He didn't. I don't know who broke up with who, but it was about him like traveling Europe, and the breakup happening when he was traveling backpacking Europe with like 2 or 3 close friends. And then he like started writing poetry, but then he wrote poetry using Adobe Express, like his brand integration. But like, I was like, I don't even care that this is an integration, because the poems he was writing was so good. And I feel like he just he didn't need to do all that for Adobe, but like, I guess he really wanted, it just felt right for him. And the story was just like sits in my mind so much, because it was like so emotional. And it has like 80K views, but it was like, I just really like it. And it was like 30 minutes.
I know things can fall into the brand, audience, or revenue sort of circle, right? How often are you trying to like go above and beyond?
I think for me, it depends on like the monetary value that I'm getting put at. Like, I'm not gonna, I mean, there will be like brands and instances where I will go over. Can
you give an example of a brand that didn't pay that much, but you're like, I want to go above and beyond?
I think my first one, actually, like my Adobe partnership I did it was like also a really big campaign. It was like when Generative Fill was first being announced to like beta, and I got hit up, and I was like, I saw the brief, and I was like, damn, this is like something I've been waiting for as a feature, because I've been advertising. I use Photoshop all the time, and I make comps of random stuff, and it's like day to day, like I'm just making comps all day.
So it was like perfect.
It was perfect, because I would actually use it for work, and I was like, this is so cool that I'm able to use this early.
How did that deal come to you?
How did it come? It was inbound, and
they just hit you up on DM.
On email.
And was it directly from Adobe or through an agency?
It was through an agency.
Okay.
Which I just found out that Adobe also does their own deals with creators without an agency.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was like, I want to go above, and I didn't know the dollar amounts when I was starting. So I was just like, I'll take whatever, but it was like not a terrible amount, but it wasn't like what I would charge now. But I was like, I want to make this really good, and I wanted to make it less focused on AI and more focused on like how it can like help you solve a problem rather than like how it can add to something that is already done.
That's great.
And I feel like that for me was really interesting because they did like 30 ads that over the next 2-3 days about that feature with different creators. So they already had all of the other ones, like other features and things like that. I feel like mine was tapping into a different thing. But
how did it perform?
See, I don't know, because I don't know if they whitelisted it at all, but I don't think they did. But it performed pretty well. It got like 400K views. And
can you explain what whitelisting is for the folks that don't know?
Okay, so whitelisting is when you post something on your account or in collaboration with your account and the brand account, so Adobe, and they pump ad money through that to boost your video and get more views. And it shows up as a sponsored post.
Yeah, so you're essentially giving them permission to do paid ads against the content that you created.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's also a really interesting thing because I think one of the main struggles with YouTube is like they don't really do whitelisting. I think it seems like they might be starting to do that, but they don't do whitelisting like they do on short form. So the monetary value is really hard to tap into unless you have a super big audience.
So this Adobe deal happened when you were still working at Ogilvy?
Yeah.
Like, did any of this had any sort of like interruption with your day-to-day?
It wasn't that bad at the beginning because I was remote. So I was in Austin and like I had like little pockets of time.
Okay, got you.
Because
so it didn't interfere with like you going into the office or anything.
No. Yeah. But then when I moved here, it did a lot. So I think that's another reason why I like needed to do that, because it was interfering a lot with both of my jobs. So
and mostly with time, right?
Yeah,
time being the biggest one. What number deal was the Adobe deal for you? Was it your second, your fourth, your 20th? Where was that?
That was my first one.
Wow. Okay.
That's my first one.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good look, yo.
Yeah, that was my first one because, like I said,
were there ones before that you turned down?
No, it was like I was saying before. Like I had gotten a lot of traction on Instagram within a really short amount of time.
How big was your account?
Okay, so I think a good way to put it was like in early March, I was at like 3K on Instagram. And then within like the next month and a half, I went to like 170K.
Wow.
And it was kind of crazy. Like one video.
Yeah, what was the video that kind of spiked it?
My like artist versus algorithm video. The artist versus algorithm.
Artist versus algorithm.
And I got that from Colin and Samir episode that they did with Hassan Minaj. Because he used to be a YouTuber. He struggled with YouTube and like also being a comedian. He wanted to only be a comedian. And I just felt like it resonates so much with how I felt as like a creator. Not wanting to like just do something for views or for attraction, but it was like really ironic because that video that was supposed to be like against the algorithm did perform the best, and it got me like 100,000 followers from that one video, which is like crazy. I had like some that were doing okay, and then that one just like kind of took me off to another level, and then I started repurposing all my TikTok stuff. Sometimes I would post it like again. I'd already posted it back when I didn't have a following, but I'd just repost it because I had a new audience. And then I just I think the main thing that also really helped me in the beginning was like when I had that initial peak, I was like, I need to just grind for the next, I don't know, however long to grow a following and just like do whatever it takes to like keep consistently making really good stuff.
And I think also because a lot of your content is evergreen. It's not like topical or seasonal.
Yeah, I think for sure. Yeah. Like I think even now I could probably go back and go to a really old one and just like post it, or not even a really old, like maybe 1 or 2-3 months back and just repost that. And there will obviously be people that have seen it already, and it might like mess up some of the the back end analytics, things like that. But for the most part, I think it's fine because, like you're saying, it's a new audience.
You originally came across my attention anyway because of TikTok, and Justin had put me onto it. And that was when your Instagram was still small. So I think that's incredible that you went from 3,000 to over 100,000 in essentially 1 month from one video.
Yeah.
And then now what are you at?
I'm at curious. Like 260.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've had like a lot of videos that do really well, but I think
can you describe some of those?
Yeah. So that one's like, I would describe that one as like, it was an introspective video about things in the creator world that I think the main purpose is to uplift creators through my like personal thoughts. And that's one segment where it's like cinematic. The second one is where I curate art, but on short form. And I just talk about like people's pictures mostly, pictures or designs. The
utility was curation. And they just wanted to hear from you now that they trusted you.
Yeah, and it's like a really interesting spot because I don't like interviewing the artists because I feel like that might make the what I'm making less like genuine to how I feel about it. Because it's not really a critique, but it's also like what the good parts about this picture are, in my opinion. And I try to generalize it generally. But I think that one, yeah, people do follow me specifically for like curation, like they do for, Hidden NY or what's the other one? Welcome JPEG, any of those.
Nice.
And I think it's in a different way because my face is there, I'm talking.
Yeah, there's just a human behind it. It's like Hidden NY, most people don't know what that guy looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's great. So the road to, you said you're at like 260, 270 right now?
Yeah.
So in the road to 260 on Instagram, which is your biggest platform, first 100,000 is the video, the introspective video about, just being a creator and artist versus the algorithm. Second one was the curation and sort of the roll up. How much of a bump did you get from that?
I think the curation ones, they don't bump me as much because they're not about me and they're about someone else.
But it provides you a format that you can...
Format that I can consistently grow and the views are also consistent, like people like them. I made one like maybe a couple of days or a week ago and it got like 1 million, but it only gives me like, I haven't checked, but probably only like 2,000
new followers from
like 1 million views.
Yeah.
Which is a lot less than the other one. But that's fine because I like doing both of those ends. I think also when I'm like, I don't have anything else that I want to talk about, like it's easy for me to talk about something that I'm removed from. Like I watched this MKBHD podcast, or not podcast, a video where he's like, I don't have trouble making content because the things I'm doing is just like reviewing products.
It's everlasting.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be new products.
Exactly. And he doesn't have to like pull from like his brain about like his thoughts or whatever. It's just like based on his thoughts about a product, not like his internal.
So let me ask you this, because it seems like, you have a combination of video as well as like grid posts. Like sometimes you just kind of want to share like collages and images. Do you have like a specific approach or is it more sporadic?
Do you have a programming strategy?
No, I don't, honestly. I don't. I think that's probably something I need to work on. Like,
or maybe you don't because it's been working for you. Maybe it's the fact that it's so organic and natural for you is what the audience is gravitating towards.
Yeah, I'm not sure also, but I think I would want to have like a general, but I agree with what you're saying. Like I like how sporadic my posts are. A lot of my grid posts just I shoot a lot of concerts. I randomly sometimes, I don't have a publication that I shoot for anymore. So I just hit up artists now. And I think it helps that I have like somewhat of a following.
Of course. It's leverage.
Yeah, it's leverage. But even before I would do it, like when I didn't have a following and it would work a lot of the times because it's like free promo for them. And I also like doing it. There would be some concerts like the other week I went to Kazmoon and Bombing Tiger concert.
Oh, shout out to Bombing Tiger. I didn't know they were in New York. Yeah,
they were. It was our last show. I just shot for them and I was like, I want to just do this for a couple of days and so I can like take a break from everything else I do. And I think for me, it like works really well because I'm able to do so many different things, but while still having the like couple main things that work really well.
Can you break down that process for us? Like what are the guardrails or what are the formats that you have in your mind? There's
a curation and then there's like the introspective inspirational one. That's another format where it's like I have specific way I like do the hook and then I go into the thing But I have those two pillars, which are like the main draw. And then I think the part that like I like the most is that third part where I can experiment with different things, like diary entries or like collage posts or whatever. Those they like never perform as well.
Despite the fact that it doesn't perform, you continuously do them.
Yeah. It's like always a mental battle.
You're constantly in this debate of being an artist or a commercial content creator, right? Like, is that something that you're constantly pondering about?
Yeah, I think I still like don't know the answer to that, but I would say I do want to be an artist and I do want to be a commercial content creator because that's what makes it sustainable. Like merging the two is it's just like really hard to know what is right and what is wrong. But I think for me, like I was saying, like when I look at the other artists that are just specifically artists, I look at their pages. A lot of the things they do are like really beautiful and people come to them even if they have like a small following or even if they don't get a lot of interaction on a post, whatever it may be. They come to them for a specific style. I want to have that mix where I'm creating content that is like valuable, but then there's also other people that follow me and they're like, oh, he can also like do this other thing. Like an ad for myself, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I see, and this is a common theme that we've had so far with different creators that we've talked to. You're almost doing one for them, one for me. You had a huge influx where you did one for yourself and that resonated with everyone else, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to know, were there any other things that sort of popped off?
Not a lot, but I had like a couple that did really well that were like ones like the original artist versus algorithm one. None of them did as well as that one, but they did similar. I had one that did like 2 million and then one that did like 1 point something million. And I had a couple other ones as well. And I constantly make those, but I think for me, those are slowly becoming less and less of what I want to do because it's like, there's only so much I could talk about.
Are those categorized in one specific type of video?
I would say, yeah, I call those like uncurated thoughts.
Nice.
And then,
is there like a specific schedule that you abide by? Like, yo, like this week I need to pump out like X amount of content.
Yeah. Do you have an output goal?
Yeah, I think my output goal is like one post a day, but sometimes.
So 7 days a week.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a funny story. When I first, I think also going back to your point, like when I first blew up, I was doing like 3 a day. I was just like repurposing 3 because I had a lot of curation stuff that I just had done on TikTok repurposed. So that was back then, it was like 3 a day for maybe like a month or 2.
3 a day on all platforms?
No, just on Instagram.
Just on Instagram.
Because I already had posted them on TikTok, so I could have done it on TikTok, but it was like too much.
And how long does it take for you to make one of these videos?
Those took me in the beginning like 30 minutes to an hour, or sometimes if I wanted to do more research, it would take longer. Because I would just use it in the TikTok app and like do green screen and just like screenshot. It was pretty easy. But as I'm like starting to do more and more of them, I'm trying to put more time into them. So it's taken like most of the time like 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours, because I want to make them like more specific to the type of artist and like make sure I don't make any mistakes. At the beginning, I think for me, making mistakes actually helped me grow a following because people would comment about like something I said.
Because yeah, that basically warranted engagement.
Exactly. Yeah. I quoted an artist, Troy Brown, in a video. Did you know this guy's lack of knowledge in certain Photoshop skills helped him make his style? People thought that was like I was doing like a hit piece on him because I said that one thing, but it was literally from an article and I was quoting him. So I think because it's a short form platform, there's only so much you can say within the time.
It lacks a lot of nuances and a lot of details that you could put into like an essay. You know, it's like, yo, there's only so much that you could put in a 60 or 90-second video.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's also another reason why I want to do more long form stuff, because I feel like those are like actually very evergreen.
Have you ever purposely inserted flaws so that you could get more engagement?
I've done it like maybe 1 or 2 times.
Oh, so you have done it?
I've done it like 1 or 2 times.
Oh, word.
Because I did on accident so many times. I was like, maybe I'll try doing it one time, but it didn't like, I think it was too forced for me. And it didn't really make sense.
So right now, are you putting up like a video a day? That's
my output goal, but I think I'm slowly thinking about if I want to slow it down so I can make better things. I know a couple of creators that they do like 1 every week, 1 every 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
For some of these creators,
there's one. Her name's Zara Hussein, and she does like VFX content. She's also on like the Lenovo partnership with me. She's on a lot of ones actually. She also did like the same Adobe one.
So she pumps out like a content a week or every 2 weeks?
I think 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
And how's her growth?
Her growth, I don't really know how her growth is, but I think she's at a point where she's like happy with where she is and focusing more on herself as an artist that does like commercial things. And I think brands also really like that. So I think there's a good mix for her.
Where are you at right now in your concentration? Are you brand, audience, or revenue?
Right now, I'm audience is, wait, what is audience again?
Just like metrics.
Yeah,
they have millions of views.
Building a following.
Building a following.
Yeah. I think I'm at the brands part because I think the revenue has already came.
So it's about building your brand.
Yeah, right now it's about building my brand because I feel like I'm at a good point monetarily.
I wanted to ask you this. So for the uncurated thoughts, right? Do you write the scripts out? And are you doing this by yourself?
Yeah, I don't have a team. I have like my girlfriend, but like she doesn't really help me with
shooting
because I feel like it's.
So you shoot everything on like a tripod.
Yeah, but I think that's a good point because when I was in Austin, it's super easy to do that because like no one's gonna like take your stuff in Austin. I feel like here it's a lot more scary. I haven't done it as much here. I've only done it like twice, and when I'm doing it in public, I like.
You're afraid someone's gonna run off with your phone.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm scared of. And
not only that, like yo, it's mad people looking at you.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. That part is also another thing because in Austin, I feel like it's weird because I talked to another Adrian Purr, and he's like, oh, I feel the opposite. When I'm in New York, I feel like
that's what I would think.
It doesn't matter. Like I just film and I don't get anxious at all. When I'm in LA, I probably more so. But for me, it's the opposite. Like when there's people watching, even though they probably don't care. Maybe it's because I live here and it doesn't feel like I'm traveling, but it's just like so much different than being. I like being like alone and like doing, like creating. So I think that's been a struggle for me to like find a good balance between. Because I want to go out because you know New York has so many cool areas to shoot in, but I think finding a balance and maybe it does start with like having a team or just like someone to help me.
And how long does it take for you to make one of those videos? I
think the writing part takes the longest. Like it's like the built up life experience for me that is like you can't really I don't know how to equate that to time, but you generally like when the writing comes, I'll just write and it will sometimes take like 10 minutes, sometimes it will take like 30 minutes, sometimes it will take like days. I'll like maybe put down a thought and I don't really know what it's about, but then I'll like flesh it out over when I just look when I'm working, whatever it may be.
So you write and then you have a shot list in your mind when you go out?
I think at the beginning, I was very focused on having a shot list and like making sure the shots really lined up with the story. I kind of want to go back to that now that you're mentioning it, because I think it's more impactful, like having visuals that tell a better story, where it'd be instead of just having like my face or something like that in different angles. But for consistency, I find it easier to like make sure the story speaks more than the visuals.
So it's easier for you to scale as well, right?
Exactly.
It's like, yo, like every time you need to come up with like interesting shot angles with cool backdrop, that's a whole different production that you have to invest in.
Exactly. And if I'm like trying to do a video a day, that's just like not possible.
It's just not possible.
But it does, the filming time is maybe, sometimes it's like, I did one yesterday. Maybe that took like an hour, and then editing maybe like an hour and a half. Because I think my process filming is like really simple. I try to keep it very bare bones. Like a lot of people do use sound design. I would want to use sound design, but for certain videos I'm doing, like the Uncurated Thoughts videos, it doesn't make sense for me to use sound design a lot of the times because it's like the music is pretty loud and like it's just me talking the whole time. Somehow when I started the series, I just took out all the friction in between and I just made it very bare bones and like it worked. And I think that's what I like about that format is like it's easy for me to pump out fast.
But it still takes you about like 4 hours.
Yeah, but sometimes it takes less. I think it's like generally, like a day or half a day. Yeah.
Half a day if it takes a long time.
Generally not a day, but yeah. Sometimes it is a day.
How long did it take into your creator journey to figure out that format?
Yeah, I never know how to answer this question because when I was in college, I was like a photographer, and then I also had to do video for the coffee company. So then I got into video. So I was like always making like content, but it was like more sporadic. But I think when I really made the leap of like, I want to do this and I want to really like try and make this work and like grow an audience was after I like didn't get my internship at Ogilvy, or sorry, didn't get my full-time offer at Ogilvy last year. And I was like, I want to pour all my time into being a creator. So I started on TikTok. I think TikTok is the best place to start for like creators that are starting. Because I think on Instagram, I guess for me, like me and people older, they already have Instagrams where they have like people following them. They're like high school, whatever. And you don't want to make a new account because it's hard for people to, the audience growth isn't the same as on TikTok where your stuff will be shown to a certain amount of people.
100%. Like, when did you first get access to social media?
When my dad created a Facebook for me and he like started posting like he was me.
When was this?
I think it was in
Your dad catfished you?
Basically, yeah. He's like maybe elementary school. I don't know when, probably like 4th, 5th grade.
Was he doing it to like capsule?
No. Oh, I think he was just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
Right.
But then he just gave me the account and like now he doesn't do that.
So this was
obviously.
what, like 15 years ago?
Yeah, probably a while ago.
I also think that there's a huge thing to be said about TikTok and the platform where like they help you with discoverability. You do your thing and then they'll put you in front of an audience versus these other platforms. You have to find your audience and then constantly.
Of course, they put you in a silo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But,
Yeah, they do.
Like, but that's after the fact.
For me, TikTok is not even a really great platform for me anymore.
Yeah.
The discoverability is weird there. Or it's like the audience, there's hard to have a good audience there.
Oh yeah, you know why? It's because they might see your artist versus algorithm and love it, follow you, but then they might not see another video from you for 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Whereas Instagram is a bit different where you can have a little bit more brand or loyalty to a creator.
And by the way, that's why I think you do so well on YouTube because that's the best place for that.
Yeah. I'd also say there's just so much like bad content on Reels. I think personally, if you make something that is like different.
Well, the irony is real.
Yeah,
right?
real, yeah.
Well, real. I think you popped off because it was real.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that
because good or bad is subjective, right?
True.
At the core, it's punk rock. It's hip hop. You're speaking to your truth and your authenticity, and that resonates with people.
Yeah, I'd agree. There's a lot of value being real, but it's also the hardest thing to do because like you're saying, you can get like self-conscious about what you're saying and like what people think.
Yeah, and also like, you know, that moment, you know, it happened very organically. Now, when you're trying to like recreate that magic, it becomes a format.
Yeah.
And in order for you to sustain this business of being a full-time content creator, like you do need to sometimes cave into that format. And in that process, the audience might feel like it's less real. But even though some might feel like it's less real, you still need to lean into it because, yo, like now this is a job.
For sure.
What do you want to do? Like, where do you see the content going?
I think right now it'd be like to shoot commercials, or to create. I think overall goal is like create a feature or a short. I've already created some shorts, but like a short, it's like using my other creator friends that also want to be filmmakers, because there's like so many of them that are just really talented, but like getting everyone's brains together would be really fun.
So would you be a producer? Would you be a director?
I think,
right?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. It's like weird because, you know, as a content creator, you do everything. But I would say if I had to put myself into buckets, it would probably be like director and screenwriter, or maybe DP. I don't know.
It's interesting how, you know, you are thriving in this short form that a lot of people that are accustomed to traditional film or what we call long form is still trying to understand. Yet at the root of it all, like you want to eventually go where they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I think it's always like that. Like I talk to YouTubers that are like, oh, I look up to them. I was like, dang, I want to be in their position because I feel like their audience is so much more close to them as a person. But they're like, oh, I want to go to short form because that's where the money is. And then I'm like, oh, I want to go to long form because I want to like deeper audience connection for brand. And then I'm also like, I want to go to the commercial. Like it's like I feel like there's always that trade-off. But I think the striving for something new and exciting is also something that is what everyone wants.
Is there a preference in terms of like what community you're meeting on what platform?
Yeah.
So for you, when we ask the ultimate question, is there a preference or is there a ranking for you?
Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is like hard because I really like.
You like doing it all
of it. Maybe just not the TikTok one.
Okay.
I like going on TikTok to see like certain things, like you're saying, like specific content. Yeah. Whereas Instagram, I'm looking for like inspiration.
So you know what it is? What if we did kill, fuck, marry Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube?
I'll probably marry YouTube and then kill TikTok and fuck Instagram.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How many followers do you have on YouTube right now?
Like 1,000.
I just wanted to get a sense because you have the biggest audience right now on Instagram. And Instagram is like your jump off. It's like not the girl that you want to marry, but the shorty that you just want to like have fun with.
Yeah, kind of.
But I actually see that for you because if you're doing everything and anything that you wanted to be doing, it'd probably be more long form. It'd probably be more unstructured. It'd probably be more like just raw and long, like horizontal.
Yeah, because I had made YouTube videos in the past, but not like very consistent, and it was very sporadic. I think that's the main thing.
One hack that might work for you that we found a lot of success with recently: repurposing your art versus algorithm. Have you put that up? How long is that video, by the way?
It's only like 40 seconds.
Oh, perfect. Have you put it on YouTube?
Yeah, just put it on Shorts.
It's on Shorts. Yeah.
And it didn't do that well.
It did okay. It got like, it didn't do that well though.
So try uploading again.
I just need to, I think that's the main thing. I need to like keep repurposing Shorts. I just like, I don't know.
That's part of having a team, right? It's literally a bandwidth. That was a bandwidth issue for us as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our videos were, more than a minute, and Shorts only allows up to 59 seconds. So that means that somebody has to go in there to cut it down to 59 seconds and re-upload it. And that's something that just, it would take like a full day just to kind of do that and uploading. Yeah, it's just it's a bandwidth thing. I
feel like Instagram will always be there because every artist is on there. Like they want to be on there. Whereas on TikTok, they probably don't necessarily, every artist doesn't want to be on there. I feel like most people want to be on Instagram. They don't really want to be on YouTube, but like Instagram is like a really good portfolio to show people
your work.
Yeah, and it's like I read this other thing. I feel like you guys probably have thought of this as well. Like it's like the contact card now for people. You just it's like, what's your Instagram? You're not like, well, maybe if you're like at a specific event and it's like, what's your TikTok? But it's usually like, what's your Instagram?
Yeah, it is. It is kind of served as almost like a.
People are asking me for my LinkedIn.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah. We're eating Little Beat. We let you choose the restaurant. Tell us what the significance of this place is.
And when I was working at Ogilvy as an intern, like one of the interns, he took me here and I just liked that place. So when I came back full time, I was like, I just go there. That was the only place I went to when I ate out. I love food. Like my parents are big foodies. So whenever I was living at home, like the last year before I left to New York, we would go out a lot because it was like a ticking clock, like try out new food. And my parents also cook a lot of different types of cuisine. I guess it's probably because we grew up on like Anthony Bourdain and who's the other guy? Who's the bald guy?
Zimmerman.
Yeah, Zimmerman. I grew up on them.
That's crazy. They were showing you that stuff when you were young.
Yeah, I was just watching with them. Yeah.
I'm just curious, what are some challenges that you've been having as a full-time content creator now?
I think the ironic thing is like, as much as I talk about in my videos about like, just like make the art and like don't worry about everything else. I think for me, it's the monetary part over time is really scary because, at like a traditional job, you move up and you get promoted or you can find a new job. I think as a creator, it's a bit more, there's no like specific guidelines for anyone.
Right.
I think that's the scary part.
Yeah, and you don't know when your next check is going to be coming in.
Exactly. But I think the part that like gives me some peace is like advertising agencies will always be in the back. Like, like I literally like talk to some agencies sometimes.
To come in and consult or
no, like they want me to like work full time. Now I'm like, I would come in as like a a freelancer part-time.
Right.
Or yeah, like consultant, but not, I don't think full-time right now is the move. Maybe if it doesn't work out, then I'll do it. But you know, that's not what I want. But also it's like, I wanted to be like a creative director when I was in advertising, because the role just sounds so sexy. And like now I think it probably will, at least right now in my eyes, it probably won't happen. You know, I think that's a like barrier trying to overcome. That advertising dream I worked so hard in college to like make work as a business student is kind of gone, and I think that's a bit scary.
Even if you go hard as a full-time content creator for the next 2 years, and then you decided to one day as like, I don't want to do this anymore, and I just want to have a traditional job, I think you could still strive to become a creative director. You know what I mean?
That's
because
true.
you have so much time. You know.
Is that job even still sexy?
Honestly, no.
Right? Yeah.
When I like think about the work they do and like the whole process, I think I've also never worked at a small agency as a creative, so that's another thing.
Where you're saying that a job at a small agency might be more sexy?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get to do more.
Yeah, but then at the same time, do you want to work more? Probably not. I mean, it depends on like what the client is. There's a lot of nuances. Yeah, it probably isn't that sexy. I think that's the main, also another reason why I took the leap, because I was like, maybe in a couple of years they'll be more structured to what people are doing on social in advertising agencies that are big.
It will, but then again, it's not going to be sexy.
Yeah, it's not going to be sexy. Yeah.
By the time there's structure implemented, it's not going to be as sexy.
Yeah, for sure. But because I know this agency that they run all like Instagram, like the creators page on Instagram, and they do some Instagram influencer stuff. And the people that run that agency, like the CEO is like 25. It's just like all young people that work there.
Yeah, of course.
And they're doing stuff for like a whole timeline for them.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's probably because they just get it more, and like they have more people that are in line with how influencer campaigns should work.
Totally. I mean, they feel the pulse of what's going on. Somebody who's like in their mid to late 30s or even 40s, those people are probably just looking at it from a theoretical perspective, whereas that 25-year-old, they live it.
You talked about the YouTube New Wave.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what it's called? New Wave?
That's what that's what they call it. Coined by Ryan Ng. Yeah.
Who's Ryan Ng?
He's so there's like 4 founders of the Creator Camp. So him, another person named Simon Kim, and then Max Reisner.
And they're all creators themselves?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And Chris Duncan is the only one. He's a creator, but he's more of like production side, but he's like slowly being more and more on camera.
Okay.
As he grows.
And they're primarily YouTubers.
Yeah, and they I think their main goal was like in the age of like the Mr. Beastification of YouTube. They want to be like the voice of like good storytelling, or just longer content that is more meaningful.
Explain Mr. Beastification of YouTube. What does that mean?
Like where everything is optimized to the second, like first 5 seconds need to have like X, Y, and Z, and like it needs to have this many shots and have a transition and like a really nice thumbnail with a good title. Like all these like analytical things that don't necessarily add to the actual meat of the video, but it like helps you get more retention. I'm not saying his stuff isn't meaningful, but like rather than to have a good, really, really good story.
So it's like a movement that is essentially like, anti this very curated and functioning retention specific format.
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
It's like take the vlogs of Casey Neistat and the storytelling of like a short film or a movie, and like kind of merge those two together.
How big do you think that movement's going to be?
I think it's starting to get bigger. People, I think the main thing is people want things that they want to spend time on, like how a lot of people are spending time on podcasts now. They want something like that, but like not in a podcast format, in a different format. Yeah,
can we learn from you on that? What's your consumption breakdown or habit?
I watch like a lot of YouTube. Okay. I think that's the main reason why I want to marry YouTube, because I just watch so much of it.
More than podcasts.
Yeah.
Do you watch podcasts?
I watch podcasts, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. In the past month, I've like listened to like 0 podcasts.
Okay.
When you say you watch podcasts, like you actually watch, like let's say this conversation.
Is it ambient? Is it in the background?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. Like sometimes I'll be like doing something like cleaning or
Yeah, so you're listening.
Yeah, listening.
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll be like, they'll do call outs and they're like, oh, for like our listeners on the podcast, this is what we're showing. Because they'll sometimes show clips. They'll like do a mix, but not too much.
So you're watching it via YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they always have the guests.
Or listening via YouTube.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another reason I'm scared of going to YouTube is because like, since I don't really have any connection to YouTube as like a personal creator, if I get a following like I do on Instagram on YouTube, is it going to change my relationship I have with YouTube? Does that make sense?
Okay, I see what you mean.
Like, am I going to like look at my analytics instead of watching a video?
Right.
Like on Instagram, if I'll sometimes I'll look at like views or whatever instead of like trying to find something inspirational.
Right. Now I feel you on that because like, you know, my girl's always like, yo, why didn't you like my posts? And I was like, yo, I don't watch other people. I don't look at other people's posts. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I just put up my shit. I see how it's engaging. I try to comment back and that's it. Like that's my relationship with Instagram.
That's a good relationship.
Yeah.
For the people that engage with your content on Instagram, what kind of comments are they leaving you?
I think it's weird because I just like don't like responding to comments.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think for me, when I see negative ones, I just don't know how to react. And like, I think it makes me feel, it like kind of ruins my day. Like if I just read one.
Yeah.
So I just rather not read any of them.
Okay, so let's talk about the positive ones.
Yeah.
What are some of the positive comments?
Positive? I mean, I do, yeah. It's just like this inspired me. And then one I got the other day that on a video that didn't really perform really well, but I think it was a message that I wanted to tell, even though it was a different format. He was like, oh, this is like, I resonated with this so much. This is why you're one of the only creators I watch or something like that. And I was like, no, like comments like this are more reason to just stick to what I want to do instead of like what other people want to see sometimes. Like you're saying, one for them, one for me.
Yeah,
like that.
I feel like more creators just need to be more cognizant of. It's like, yo, if there's like 100 comments, the probability of all 100 comments being positive is impossible. You know what I mean? Like even in a room, if there's 10 people, not all 10 people are gonna like you. You know what I'm saying? So
what do you call your community?
Damn, I don't know. I haven't thought that far.
The Uncurated?
I could.
Yeah. Maybe that's something.
I just always say like make stuff even if it's bad. That's like,
you should trademark that.
I don't know how do you do that?
Oh, you could literally go to LegalZoom. It's $700. It used to be $700. You could trademark that.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to put this out there. Some motherfuckers watching this shit. It's like, yeah, LegalZoom. By the time this goes out, hopefully by the time this goes out, you've already trademarked it.
Yeah.
I should do that.
Definitely. Yo, so do you have any questions for us?
Oh yeah. Like what type of business should I make? Like an LLC or a sole proprietorship, or like I don't really know what to do.
There's a long answer. The short answer is just make an LLC. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think for where you are right now, you'll have a pass-through LLC.
Where do you like go to do that? You use like a website?
You could use LegalZoom.
Okay.
Yeah. When we talked, that was like in the summer. It's crazy to see.
The growth. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like so weird because I don't think follower growth is like something that's been crazy over the past couple months, but I think in terms of like what I want to do for the next couple of years has changed so much in like the past couple months of moving here.
You were about to sign with the manager.
I did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And has that been helpful?
Yeah, it's been really, really nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I have like 3 managers actually. One of them is in fashion and one of them's mainly in like TV and film. So I think having both is interesting because
did you sign with an agency where they have all these managerial services, or is it like you signed with 3 different individual managers?
It's like one agency, like Underscore Talent, and then I technically have two managers, and then one of the managers has like an assistant that is like under her.
So Underscore Talent is the name of the agency, and then there's various verticals that you are being managed by different people.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And one being fashion, and one being more TV.
TV, film, and like kind of the niche I got myself into by being the type of creator I am. What
do they do for you? They just filter out the emails for you? They do negotiations for you? Like,
yeah, I think the main thing is the negotiation and the email part. Because I think for me, I was never like super good at responding to emails in a, like really quickly because I had to do so much thinking in the beginning, especially, but like rates and things like that. And from what I've heard from other people, it's like it feels better to have someone, a third party, do the negotiation for you.
100%.
Yeah, because even if they're taking a cut of it, it's like they're helping you get a better rate. So you might just be making more money, and it's like less
100%.
pressure off.
Yeah.
Also, they get me into a lot of like interesting events. Like for Fashion Week, since I have a fashion manager, she got me into like a YSL event. And that was really cool. Like I shot Lil Yachty.
Oh, word.
He did like 3 songs, and he like he changed his like Twitter profile picture to the picture I took.
Oh, say word.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big look.
Like, yeah. But like it was interesting. He like never liked the pictures. So I never knew he saw it, but then he saw it.
Yeah.
Okay. But that was cool. Yeah. Like random things like that I want to be in. Like I want to get to know people that are in it and like see what they're doing. You just like
they give you access. They give you access to some fashion shows.
Access, yeah, I think access was the main thing because I was also in between another manager and this one, and like the other manager was a bit smaller and like it's like a 1-person thing, whereas this one they have like a more of an infrastructure. And I think at that, or even now, like I want to grow in a different way, and that doesn't necessarily mean like monetarily.
How much percentage do they take? Where the agency?
15%.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've heard people the standard is like 20%. Total.
It depends, man.
Yeah,
it depends what the leverage is. It could be 5%. It could be.
It could be as high as 30%.
30%. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard people doing 30%. That's kind of crazy.
But again, it all depends on sort of where you're at, what services they're providing.
Yeah.
You know, I think in the beginning, something as basic as answering the emails in a timely fashion, being able to speak confidently to the value of what the opportunity is, all that's good. But then like, you know, especially with larger agencies, how much are they actually actively involved in the overall strategy of what you're trying to do? Yeah. Like, okay, you're trying to be Wes Anderson in this one aspect. Okay. What are the steps that can go there? They're probably not going to do that. Yeah. Yeah. It's a different thing. Yeah. 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 But I generally, I like my managers. Yeah. They're really nice people as well. That's the most important. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how many of them are inbound or outbound, but regardless, like I've just been getting like consistent partnerships, which has been really, really nice. Outside of videos and Instagram, what other aspects of your business are you thinking about growing right now? I would say like making some type of like product. So like clothing and I think a long-term goal would be like a photo book. I just need to think about like what kind of story I want to tell, or like what I want it to be. Those are the main 2 things. Because I think those, like I have a lot of photo books, and I think those are just like, when someone comes over and like they're a photographer, I'm like, you need to see this book depending on what type of photographer they are. And I think that's like a really powerful thing. It's also a great way, I feel like, to monetize your art in a way that doesn't feel like forced.
Yeah, and on top of that, like your audience, you have a built-in clientele that already appreciate you for the work that you're doing, whether it's your aesthetic or the type of content that you put out. Again, I think the most important part of any sort of like product that you want to create is the fact that you have an audience. It's not you're creating the product and you're trying to pitch this product to a bigger world. It's like I have a pre-existing audience, and a percentage of them will most likely understand this product that I'm trying to sell. Yeah. And I think that's the world-class advantage that creators with real tight-knit communities have. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's like a 1 or 2 year goal. What's a 5, 10-year goal for you? 5 is probably, damn, I don't know. I would say like feature, because I think I could do a feature in 5 or maybe even less if I wanted to. I'm still like trying to get my head around. You're 23. Everything. Yeah, for sure. And like 2 months out of a job, so I'm like still thinking. Yeah, this is like brand new for you. Exactly. I mean, this is super exciting time, but is there anything that you're like concerned or maybe even like fearful? I think just like the community aspect of like being a creator is different than like if you're working a job, right? Like a job, you'll probably always have people you see every day. I mean, for me at least, I'm like always by myself in my apartment or co-working space even.
things like that. I think that's like what is a
It's lonely, huh?
yeah.
Yeah. Like, you don't really have a person that you could bounce ideas with and shit.
Exactly.
Or do you?
Not really. Yeah, I think that's another a struggle because like I don't know, like I could just make a video and it's like I didn't think about this one thing, and then it could have helped me. Yeah, being a solo creator is difficult. I think also like the longevity of Instagram is like, you know, it's always changing. Whereas this is just how media works though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. No, it's 100% right. Like, I mean, when I was 18, I was at the tail end of like print magazines. I worked towards getting a job as a print magazine editor. By the time I became a print magazine editor, print was about to get hit with a meteor, where it already got hit with the meteor, and it was like all the vegetation and dinosaurs in print were dying. You know what I mean? So like we were like, yo, now we got to find a spaceship to pivot to a new thing. What was your first like experience as a consumer on social media? Like, who were some of the people that you were following and like watching growing up?
Casey Neistat, obviously.
Casey.
And then I think Peter McKinnon was like a big one.
Yeah.
Like for most photographers, I found out about him through Casey.
Did you ever do the like Chase Jarvis stuff?
Who's that?
Yeah, see, that's so generational. He was one of the first like creator photographers that I saw. He was the one sort of like telling you and giving away all the secrets. This is like 2009.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't watch. No, I didn't know about this.
How old were you in 2009?
2009.
You were
9. Yeah,
Oh
so you were born in 2000.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh my
that makes
gosh.
sense.
Is there anything that you're just as passionate about today as you were then?
Honestly, not really. I think that like my viewing habits have just changed in terms of YouTube so much over the course of. I guess the only thing I I've been watching is like I still watch league videos or like highlight videos because it's like brain numbing. Just something to watch randomly because it's. I don't want to play the game, but I can watch like a 10-minute video about it instead of playing for like hours.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's.
So is that like?
It's like guilty pleasure. I think my attention, I feel, is gotten so bad that I can only watch certain things, and mostly that's just YouTube now. It's like 10 to 15 to 20 minute, and then everything over that is like I gotta think about watching.
Can you tell us like your 3 subscription notifications right now on YouTube?
I don't have notifications on.
Okay, well, like what are 3 things that would pop up?
Oh,
Put us onto 3 channels that we should be watching.
Yeah, that's a good one.
yeah. Definitely the YouTube New Wave guys. So like Simon Kim is one.
His name is Simon Kim?
Yeah, Simon Kim.
Cool. Yo, Simon Kim was good, yo. Come on, Creators Lunch.
He would if he comes down here.
Word.
Let me think. Do you know Thomas Flight?
No.
He does like video essays about filmmakers.
Okay.
He's really, I like him. Oh no, wait, can I change my answer?
Go for it.
Gox, you know Gox too? He's like he's one of my favorite. He's like so he has 2. He's so talented. He's like 20 or 8. He's like 18 or to 20 range.
Okay.
He lives in Mexico.
Okay.
And he lives at his parents' house. He like films all his YouTube videos by himself.
Oh.
And he's like doing this crazy ass like he's making like films basically as YouTube videos. He's like everything. He's like all the things your content creators are. But he's also like a colorist. He also is like a really talented.
Give me an example of a video that he's done.
All right. He like.
How do we spell his name?
GAWX.
GAWX. So it's Gox. Gawk? Where Gox?
Gox.
Gox.
So like this
Simon
is one.
Kim?
This is a second. Gox, Simon Kim, and Thomas Flight, I guess. Yeah.
Gox, Simon Kim, and Thomas Flight.
But he like makes really this is a second channel. He makes like travel films, but like he does crazy sound design and
Yeah.
But his other videos on his main channel, his art channel, that's not. He makes like he's like, oh, my sketchbook, or like.
Got you.
I made this.
So he's like a multi-disciplinary.
Are these all
artist.
these are basically the children of Casey Neistat?
I would say they're inspired by Casey, but they don't make anything like remotely close to what he makes. I would say.
Okay.
And they're also a lot younger. Like Casey started when he's like what 30 something.
Yeah.
Vlogging when he was 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was filming.
Oh yeah. Yeah, true. They're also like
Do you know who Tom Sachs is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Tom Sachs.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Van Neistat?
I think Van's more talented than Casey.
I love Van. I feel like his stuff is like super timeless.
But both of them,
They're
when I
really
tell young
talented.
people that love Casey, I'm like, that's all Tom Sachs, right? And they're like, who's Tom Sachs?
Oh, really? They don't know Tom
yeah,
Sachs?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess in that sense, we all are like a child of Casey. Actually, no, Simon told me he's never watched Casey Neistat,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I don't know who we watched back in the day.
Do you think that you and your friends are in the minority of consumption, or that's the future wave?
I think it's a minority. I don't know if it's striving to be a majority at all. I think it's just striving to be a specific type of content. And I don't think it's necessarily trying to garner like hundreds of millions of views. Obviously, that's like a good thing to have, but that's like not the main goal. It's just like I guess for me, it's like I watched this one video and like this makes me want to make this type of video.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like I don't feel the same way about like watching a Mr. Beast video, even though like there's a lot of effort and like there's a skill doing that. Like I know guys that work at Mr. Beast on like short form.
Oh, they're down in North Carolina and shit?
Yeah. Like one of my friends, Rohan, he like runs Mr. Beast short form.
Oh, wow.
And like I see that, yeah, I saw that man, and like he's like always on the phone. I'm like, damn, this is like crazy. And this just for like 15-second short form, and they're like doing so much effort for this really small,
Yeah.
or not small, like short video.